Well, hey folks, welcome to the shed. Glad to see you. Today, we're going to make us a ring. I know, a shop that sells rings making a ring. And in fact, we're going to make this little beauty. If I can... it's not going to focus up brilliantly. But this is just a triple ring, 3 types of driftwood with a seaglass inlay.
Sorry for the poor focus, guys. This is the ring I'm trying to show you. This isn't the ring I make. This is the original design proof. My wife has it now.
Well, funnily enough, for a triple ring, you need 3 bits of wood and a saw to start.
All 3 of these bits of wood are driftwood collected from local beaches in Pembrokeshire. Unfortunately, the only one I confidently identify as this middle one you see now, as blackthorn, very common in the local area.
Well, now we're going to sand these down. I do that with a piece of 120. Flat down. Now, only one needs to be done on both sides here, and that's the blackthorn for the middle. So the other 2, you just find what's already the best side, or in this case, I like to keep the fatter sides to the middle. Just lines everything up better. So there we go. And it is just that. You just keep back and forth. Every so often you want to twist it a bit. It just helps to keep everything level, flattened out. If you just keep going with a static hold on it, you end up with one side will end bowed up a bit, or it won't be flat. Right. Now that we've sawn and sanded our 2 end pieces of nice smooth sides, and our middle piece is nice and smooth all over. Sorry guys, my focus is horrific on this at the moment with this lighting. I'll work on that in future videos. So now we need to glue it up, obviously. Before you do that though, every piece of wood has its own features, whether it's knots or cracks. So what I will do is I will find the way that the wood fits best together. If there were knots or anything like that in there, I would try to position them so they will come out looking the most appealing. But for now, I think that side fits nicely. I want to get a good bit of crack because that's going to be the main focal point for the ring. I'd say that there looks good enough. Now, I've picked my angles, I've picked my spots. You just want to mark up before I apply the glue, just so that when I put it all together it lines up nice and straight. And in fact I'll use 2 lines on either side of the crack. Here is what we'll do. And on the other end, I'm not going to be able to show you that too good. There. And the same again, just run up the one and out on the other. Then we have lines there to line up on once we've glued. Let's get on with that bit. Are we gluing? Here we go. Glue. I like this at the moment for this. Sort of a medium viscosity. It says high viscosity, but it ain't that thin. So, I wear gloves for this. It's not too bad on your skin, but it's a pain in the buttocks. So, you know, since I don't want excess glue around, the biggest piece is the middle. I glue the smaller pieces and stick them to it. It just keeps it a bit cleaner. I don't suppose this bit could be more self-explanatory. Put a bit of glue on, cover the piece, make sure it's nice and covered. High-tech gear here, folks. Remembering our 2 lines on the crack. And see if I can show you that. Want to line up your lines there and the one at the back. Give it a little wiggle, set it in. There we go. There you go. Funnily enough, you repeat the process on the other side. You want to make sure you get all the way out to the edges. If it's a little thin around the center, that's not a problem because you're going to lose all of that wood later. But you want to make sure that outer half at least is making good contact and glued up, because that's going to be your ring. So lining up again. I'm going to hold it here. You don't need to see that. You've seen it once already, haven't you? Give it a wiggle, set it in a bit, line up both ends. Here we go. And then you want to clamp in some form. I'm using these little plastic doohickeys I got from the cheap shop at the moment. Don't need 3, you get away with 2, probably even 1, but I'm not using them all at the moment, so we'll get it extra secure. We need to mark the ring up now. Ready to start making an actual ring. This particular ring is going to be a size S. And all I do for this, since I'm worried about the crack, I'm just going to line the bottom of my, I don't even know what these are called. Sizers? Whatever. My little plastic ring. I'm going to line that up on the bottom of that. And then I'm just going to draw around it. Mark the outside and the inside. Here we go. Just a very rough marking. Do the same on the bottom, lining up the same way. Coming in roughly the same distance. They don't have to be perfect. You can line everything up later in the next step. Go. We go back, we just finish up marking where the spaces were left by the bottom of the clip. That's it. 2 sides marked up. Oh, look at them nails, they're stinking. Good Lord. Right, now we drill. Okay, let's drill the ring. Now, I just do it by hand, hold the blank, drill through it. The only real trick is going to be you start with a smaller bit. Oh, wrong way. As a pilot hole, then you want to go on up to for the largest bit you got if you're following along at home. Remember, if you manage to have a set with some very large bits in it, the larger bit that you use, you only want it to be smaller than the finger you're going to be wearing this ring on. For me, that's not an issue because that's the biggest one I got. And before I drill the holes, because we're about to go into one of those magic of the movies, the super fast forward bits, you're going to see me do something on the larger drill bit once I've done the hole to widen it. All you budding health and safety executives or OSHA operatives, feel free to write me up in the comments below. It's not that risky, but somebody's bound to have a problem with it. If you're following along at home on your own little project, do whatever you need to do to minimize the risk if you're going to do this. Wrap some tape around the end of the bit. Find a different way altogether to do it. Whatever. But I do it all the time. I'm comfy. I use what I got. So let's get on with it. Cue fast forward. Right, now we've drilled and widened the hole enough to get a small coarse rotary sander bit in there. We will use a larger coarse rotary sander to do the outside. I can't assume it really matters whether you do the inside or the outside first. I just choose to do it this way. PPE for this, glasses, dust mask, and I'll get the extraction unit set up. It's an old vacuum.
Okay, I do a really poor job here filming this bit, but basically I just take the larger sanding drum and I just rough in a more uniform round shape, and then I work my way in and just start sanding to the outer edge of the lines I marked on earlier. I then switch to the smaller sanding drum, which I think I'm roughly trying to explain here in this clip I fast forwarded, and I bring the inside up again. I take the inside hole just wide enough to put a larger drum inside, just makes life a lot easier. And then I will widen the hole, either, in this case I should have gone just up to the line, or what I do here is just wide enough to get on the mandrel, and we go from there.
Right, we've reached one of those in-between stages. The inside isn't quite true or to size, it's still a little small, which is where we need it, because there's going to be plenty of sand in to bring it to final shape. But we leave that now. We'll progress on to the outside a bit more.
And this is where I make my mistake. My biggest mistake on this ring anyway. Yeah, more to come on that. I should have finished the inside on a ring like this. On many rings it doesn't matter, but on this particular style of ring it does matter, because there's so much ring. You need to get the inside sized right so you know what you've got left to do your inlays. Yeah, I thought my eyeball gauging of the outer size was just good, but I was wrong. So, let's keep going.
So, we're gonna...
Not a whole lot to narrate here. I just take a piece of sandpaper and a bit of flat wood, and yeah, I basically just spin my drill and it takes down the highest points on the wood. The flat wood helps to give you a nice flat uniform shape. I do the sides just to make sure it's all lined up nice and square and even, and that's that.
Right, Done most of the sanding. Coming up nice and smooth. Still a bit chunky, but that's what we want. There's plenty of room to work putting the inlay in. So now we file. Always good fun. Come on. Okay. Diamond files. Start with the sharp edge. You just want to start following the join. And you want to go all the way around. Sort of a pilot effort on this one. Ready for a flat file, or at least flat side, to come in and finish up the actual channel. I didn't mean to hit the phone then, my bad. Right, I went ahead and just did that off camera. We've got them both good to go here now. Here we go. So now we just sand that off real light, just tidy everything up. And then it's on with the glass inlays. Let's get on with the fun bit, shall we? Hey, hey. Right, I won't go over it too much, because this is about the ring itself. But to get the seaglass, you just take a bit of seaglass, chuck it in, smush it up a bit, not too much though, and you get a mixture of fine stuff, shards and chunks. Next time I have to grind some up, I'll show you. But yeah, no, and if you're wondering about the lighting, the weather's turned, so we've had to close the door. So it's just me and you. One thing I should have mentioned, is that at this stage, just before I actually start the inlays, I give it a rub down with teak oil. The reason being, one sec, is once the super glue gets in there, you can't really, the oil won't soak in, and it is noticeable once you finish the ring and you look, you can see along the edges, if you haven't treated it before you do this, you can see on the edges where the glue has sort of spread out from the inlay, and it stops the oil from taking. It is noticeable. So I'm using my donkey's years old bottle of teak oil. It's that old. Look at that. Look at that. Finest rags in Pembrokeshire. Now I hope that this actually takes for you guys on the camera, because this is one of the fun bits. Is that noticeable yet? No. Get the oils on, the colours start coming out more. Yeah, you're starting to see that blackthorn starting to pop a little bit. Got a nice bit of grain detail there, with the tones split up. Looking good. So yeah, I'll leave that dry now. Sorry if I can ever get there. Oh, that was loud. As we set ourselves up a little glue spot, we get our very, very high-tech toothpick. We have, this is going to mess everything up, but we'll try to reset. We have separated out the glass, split it up. We don't want the biggest chunks, obviously, because we don't have, if I can figure this out, the biggest amount of space. Whatever, I give up. There. Yeah, we haven't got the biggest amount of space there. So we only want finer bits. I will try to figure out the zoom on this because it won't let me do it as we go along. So, just keep the glue off the hands. And all we does, if you want a bit of your thicker glue, ready to go. With our toothpick we get just the lightest bit of glue, don't need much. And now we're on the green, this is lighter than the blue, so I want it to go to the lighter side of the ring, complement that area more. So you just take a tiny bit, look, you can barely see it even trying to form a drop on the end there. And you just run it through the channel a ways. Then we play doctor, and you want to find a piece of glass that will fit in. That might be a little bit big. Let's see. Yeah, that's too big. That's the trouble with these rings, is the channel is smaller than a lot of the inlays I do. They have to be, or the ring is well oversized. Just too bulky to be practical in any way. Still pretty, but... So you find yourself fishing through your glass because Murphy's Law and all that. And you just keep going till you fill up the spot you've put your glue. I don't want pieces leaning over though. I don't know if you can see that, but if it's a, you know, a relatively flat piece, I suppose, they try to lay over, and then when you go back later on and that's just going to be a pain, that one. Let's just get out of here. Just the wrong shape. That happens a lot too. Let's just slap some more glue in. But that is it. So once we've done that bit, we have to fill in the gaps. And for this, we use thinner glue. And the really thin, really fine bits of glass, and it is as simple as we scoop up a bit of glass and you drop it on, knock it around a little bit, make sure you get all the gaps filled. Giving a little tap helps. Put a little bit more here. Okay, we just tidy it up a little bit. And you dab a teeny bit of glue. Give it a chance to soak itself in. There we go. And then we rinse and repeat, and we go all the way around doing that. So that's going to be it for the day. Done all the gluing and the inlaying. Now I'll leave that sit overnight, give the glue a chance to really cure up properly. Then tomorrow we break out the files again. We start all over. Nah, not really. But tomorrow you'll see a finished ring. Well, for me it'll be tomorrow, for you, see you in a couple of seconds. Ta-da! Alright. It is the next day. We're all glued up. Here we go. Now we gotta break out the diamond files, flatten that down a little bit. Let's go. Really struggling to get you a focus that actually works here, but you can see all I'm doing. Would that clear up better? I'm just taking both bands at once, trying to get that area down flush with the wood, and I'll just keep progressing on around until we get it all done. This this process takes a good little while. Right, we have a file. Where's the focus on that? There. We filed it down flush and flat. And this is actually one of the better glue-ins. I haven't had any big rip outs or anything that I have to go back and fill in, so bonus. I'll go back over now with a finer, or rather an older, more worn out file, just to flatten that down a bit more, and then it's on to some wet sanding. Come on, let's go do it. Right. Small dilemma. Could be a big one. Don't know if you can see it. It's not going to focus too well, is it? Yeah, you can see there's a little ding there on the side of that crack. Yeah. The last stretch of the filing and I slipped. Oh man, I really wish I could focus that in better for you guys. Doesn't do it. That's a bit better. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go through some wet sanding anyway. I'm going to be a bit more diligent with the rougher grits when I first start off. Hopefully it'll take it down enough where it's not a problem anymore. Because if it doesn't, well, we're not going to waste the previous footage. I'll have to scrap this and come back to you in a few days, real time for me. But let's see. Fingers crossed. First thing we need is fresh sandpaper. Always cut fresh when you come to this part. So already done the 320.
Poor job of showing it, but basically what I mean is I use from 320 all the way up to 2000 grit, not just those two alone.
Right, in case you can't tell, it's the next day again. Getting on with sanding out the inner side. Off camera, I've brought the edges in a bit and I'm working on it. I'm very close to final size and shape. My trouble is at the moment, it seems a bit thick to me. I'm not sure what I've done wrong, if I have. But I'm going to put the final shape on this. But I might have to redo this. We'll see. So I'm going to give you guys some sort of fast forward thing of me standing here doing some amazing figuring. And well, that inside is final size. That is an S nicely all around. And even though I say it myself, for a handmade job, pretty uniform. Still a bit concerned about the overall thickness of this. So we're going to taper these edges down now. And see how it ends up. Right. All I'm going to do to taper the edges, I spin it, dismantle my workplace while I'm at it, and I sand it until we get a uniform thing. A uniform, oh whatever.
Yeah, literally, just eyeball it, guys, and take it down to it's got the shape you want. I've said it will.
Well, it's too thick. It's too thick. Right. Everything I'm about to do for the next 2 days or so, you've just watched. I'm not happy with that. I can't make that any wider. Somebody that wants the next size up or two can have this in the future, but the order I've been given is for a size S. And I ain't happy. So, I'll see you in a couple of days, guys. Well, hey folks, it's been a couple of days. It's been an eventful couple of days. But we have Much better thickness on this. It's been a rough one though. Most rings just, they go pretty good. I've been doing it a while now. Every now and again a little thing comes up. And I think what I did with this was I was more focused on the video. Never made a video of ring making before, so I was more worried about the video and I just was absent-minded. Then this bad boy. Got some lovely knots in it, look. Beautiful. But I had it all inlaid. You can barely see. I will work on this lighting and focusing and all, folks. But yeah, did the inlays, started bringing the shape, and realised that the inlay looked like absolute dog doo-doo. So I've sanded it all back out. I'm going to redo now. And I'm also going to use a darker green. But since you've already seen this, I'm not going to, I'm just going to use the footage we've already had. I'll bring this back to you now when we're ready for finishing, like we would have been with this one. And I'm sick. But there's 3 things that have gone bad during this. So, you know what? I mean, it's going to be plain sailing, yeah? Law 3s and all that. Right. Let me get on with it. This video is going to be massive. Right. We're at the point where we get to finish the ring. Just in time, too. There we are. You can see final shape. You might notice there's one coat of CA glue already on the outside, that shine. I put that on once I did the final outer shape in, just to give everything a bit of protection while I finalize the inside. And you can see now that thickness is a lot better than the, well, here real quick. Yeah. Absent-minded, not paying enough attention, worried too much about looking pretty for you folks at home. Right, so what I'm going to do now as far as finishing goes, I'll do one of those fast forward doohickeys for you, so I'll explain real quick now. I will put 2 coats on the inside very quickly. I will put the second coat on while the first coat is still wet in there. I will then proceed to add 1 more coat on the outside. 2 coats on, in and out. And then I will sand. I will alternate applying layers of CA with sand in. So CA, a sand, CA, a sand. And I'll keep going until I've gotten to a point that I'm happy with. It could be as much as 10 layers. And by that point, I'll be finishing up with 3000 grit sandpaper to just fit, totally smooth down that final layer before we buff it. So let's get on with it, and I'll chat to you again before buffing. I don't know, guys. This video is probably the least watchable thing you've seen on YouTube in its entire history. But I have no charisma. I have no real character. And I certainly am not video savvy. Plus, while I was hoping to just show you a lovely skill, everything goes perfect making process, it ain't gonna happen on this ring. And this does happen from time to time. This ring, I will say, has been one of the most troublesome. And we've had yet one more. Usually, and I make rings with cracks in a lot, the 2 coats on the inside and the 2 coats on the outside of CA usually seals up the cracks perfectly. It's one of the reasons I apply the inside coats while the first is still wet. It just gets in the crack, seals it. So then, when I put the ring on the mandrel and I start gluing the outside, nothing runs through and sticks. Probably more me trying to look pretty for the camera and not paying enough attention to what I'm doing. Some of the holes didn't seal. So that beautiful black stain is not a knot. Oh, I really got to get a camera that can focus for you guys. You see, there's the knots. There's a bit of black up there and some more there. That is the tape. And it's not just tape I have to take off. Of course, it's super glued on. That means... and it means some very slow... Yeah, it's quite intricate because obviously if I go too coarse a grit, I start affecting the actual ring itself, the size, warping, gouges. So I can only use a finer grit. I think, what am I on here? I got 600 out for this. And it takes a while. So, right. Pretty happy with the finish on that so far. So what I'll do now is run the 3000 grit. Up till now hasn't really mattered, as long as you've scuffed it up. But for the final thing, I'll give it a quick once over now with 3000, and I'll apply one more layer of glue. Once that dries, I will then give it a really good C&2 with the 3K, and then it's on to buffing. So, cue the fast forward. Right, well, we got there. We're at the final stage, the buff-in stage. Could probably get away without it, to be honest. Got a lovely shine. I will certainly sort out how to focus better here, guys, someday, but sorry, this is the video you're stuck with now. But we're going to buff, because I think it looks better. And to do so, we will be rotary tooling it. Green polishing compound. Don't ask for specifics, it's just a generic bit I got from the shops. I like to coat the wheel really hard. So with that, and that's actually going to be the end of the video, folks. Unfortunately, I really messed up trying to record this. I finished it up out of shot and everything, as you can see here. But and I had a proper presentation clip where I hold it up to the camera and showed it to you here in a second after I cleaned it, but I lost it somehow. So here are the only 2 shoddy pictures I actually took before I handed it off to the customer. It is a beautiful ring. These pictures don't do it any justice. But if you've managed to make it all this way, guys, thank you for watching. Please check out them socials. And we will talk to you on the next video, which will be a lot shorter.